Let's start evaluating players. We're going to start evaluating players, by the season and what they did and what they accomplished, and, just give a letter grade. We want to give a letter grade for players this season that just passed for the Clippers. Now they're in the off season, moving on to the next. Hopefully a lot more better things to come. But the one person I want to start out with in giving a letter grade is Ivica Zubac. I know Zubac is widely liked, widely disliked as well. And, a lot of people are just out on him, but I've always stuck with Zubac. I've always liked him. I actually liked him when he was with the Lakers too. I actually saw a lot of his upside then. I mean, he's been in the league since 2016. He's been in the league for, 5-6 years there. So he's been in the league long enough to be evaluated. And based upon, what he's done, I feel like Zubac can definitely have a presence in the NBA as a big man, as a solid big man. But either it's his inconsistency, or either he's not really getting the opportunity to be the player that a lot of people believe that he can be. So, I mean, and if you ask me, I think it's a little bit of both. Because when you look at him on the Lakers, he just didn't really have the opportunity to really show how good he can be. He showed it in spurts, but it's almost the same thing on the Clippers. He shows it in spurts how good he can be. And then you see him drift off for a while, and, he looks like a non-factor a lot of games. But when you think about how he can anchor the Clippers defense and hold down the paint and block shots and be effective and move his feet, he definitely can give the Clippers something that they never had: a big man with a presence, and a big man that, commands a presence in the paint and who can get his own shot. And I'm not going to say, I shouldn't say the Clippers never had that, but when I think about the Clippers several years back, I think about DeAndre Jordan. And DeAndre Jordan was a big man of theirs who couldn't get his own shot, the reason why they were called Lob City was he was one of the main reasons why, because you had to throw him a lob for him to actually score, because he couldn't score on his own. You never can throw the ball down to the paint to him and let him work and cook himself and he get his own points. And that was the Clippers' biggest Achilles heel. They really didn't have a third guy who could really put up points in the starting lineup like that people feared, that other teams feared. And at that time, in 2011, 2012, all that back then, the center position was even more value than it is now, and back then in that time. So DeAndre Jordan really was such a non-factor. It really hurt the Clippers in their championship pursuit, because he was really the guy on the floor who couldn't score. So really, most nights they played 4-on-5, where they got 4 guys on their team that could score on the Clippers, and the 5th guy is a non-factor, where you're playing other teams where their big man was a factor and they could score more, and it just made it unfair for them. And then it's like when teams figured that out, it made the Clippers be a highlight ESPN team, but it didn't make them a championship team, which is the reason why they kept getting beat by the Spurs. I think they finally got past them one year, but other than that, they really didn't do anything in the playoffs. And then the Warriors took them out a couple of times, I believe. So that was the end of that. The rest was history. But when you look at Zubac is a lot better skill wise than a DeAndre Jordan, because Zubac can get his own shot, he can get his own points. You can throw the ball down to him in the paint and he can be dominant that way. And when you look at Zubac, he plays an old school type basketball game where it's like, dropping down the paint, 2 drop step hook shot, or, he can, go strong sometime and like dunk on you, like we've seen him do a lot of games this year in the last couple years. So I definitely think Zubac is a huge part of what the Clippers culture is, and I definitely think they need to keep him, because, who knows what's going to happen with Hartenstein as well, because, I think he is on a 1-year contract, but I think his contract is up this offseason. Of course, I think they're probably going to re-sign him, I would assume, not unless they feel like they can, let him go or something like that and get a trade somewhere and get a better piece, which I don't see that happening, but it's possible. But I definitely think they need to keep Zubac, because his upside, his potential is always, is always going to be relevant with the Clippers. And I feel like the Clippers are going to need him, in big games and big moments where he might get more offensive rebounds, things like that, get some block shots. But they got to really build Zubac's confidence up more. And that's the thing where I said earlier about him not getting the opportunity to show how good of a big man he can be, because the game moves so fast now, and it's more about shooting threes rather than actually, getting the high efficiency, high quality shots, which would be throwing into the paint and the big man. And, he goes down low in the paint and go to work and, dunk on somebody, dunk somebody in the rim, something like that. It's not really, the game's not like that now. So I know a lot of people don't really see Zubac's value because the game is not played through the big man. It's really all about 3-point shooting now, and step back threes and, flashiness and all that. That's what the game is more about now. You can blame Stephen Curry for that, by the way, but still it's really all about the three and being flashy and shooting and scoring in different ways, other than actually having a 7-footer go down there and bang in the paint and command a presence. So it's like Zubac really doesn't get the opportunity to really show how good he could be. But we've seen games this year where Zubac, has had double figures. I remember one game this year specifically against the Nuggets. I think they lost that one. No, I think they won it, but he had 32, 10, and 3. And we've seen games where he's put up monster numbers. Like they had another game where he had like 23 and 11 earlier this season as well. And then you'll see other games where he'll have I think one against, I think it was against the Timberwolves, actually not too long ago. I think he had like 7 and 9 against the Timberwolves, which is very, very poor. And I think, he had one earlier this season, I think against the Thunder, where he had like 12 and 11. And I definitely think that's underachieving, for somebody like, the 7-foot Croatian and, Zubac, because Zubac could be a lot better than that. And I think, the Clippers know he could be a lot better than that. They just don't really have too many options for him scoring wise because they got so many other scorers on this team. And, like I said, the game has evolved a lot in regards to a big man going out there dropping 25, 30 points a game, because the game is not like that now. So, I definitely feel like they should keep Zubac just because of his presence. And like I said, he can have big nights for the Clippers as long as Zubac can continue to rebound and, get some more offensive rebounds, give them a double-double pretty much every night. That's what they need out of him. That's what they need. And this season right here, he averaged, I think it was 10 points and 8 rebounds. To be specific, no, I take that back. To be specific, he averaged 10.3 points and 8.5 rebounds. That's not good enough. We need Zubac to average at least, I'd say 13 and 10. Or I'd say, no, I take that back. We need him to at least average 15 and 14 a game. 15 and 14 a game is what Zubac should be averaging every single season. So with that being said, I'm going to have to go ahead and give him a C minus for this year. I'm going with a C minus because I believe Zubac could be a lot better, but at the same time, I believe he needs more opportunity to show that he could be a lot better and more of a factor on offense and defense. Because with Zubac, it's all about keeping players happy sometimes. Zubac, if you allow him to get off scoring some, I think his defense picks up a lot better throughout the games. But sometimes he flails off defensively and don't move his feet as well and kind of gets disinterested to me because he might only have 5 points and 9 rebounds or something like that for a whole game when he's played like 32 minutes. And I've seen him have games like that. Matter of fact, I think against the Timberwolves here when they played, when they played in the play-in, I think he had 7. Yeah, I think he had, that was a game he had 7 points and 9 rebounds, I think. And he played like 31 minutes. You can't have a big man out there playing that long with that minimal points and that minimal rebounds. It's almost like Zubac gets, like I said, it's almost like he gets disinterested because he's not getting any opportunities to score and they're just going down, jacking up threes. And they're putting themselves in position to lose games rather than put themselves in position to win when they have a better big man than the Timberwolves got. I mean, I can say a better big man than the Timberwolves, but they have a better big man than a lot of other teams who can, command in the paint, draw fouls, and put some pressure on the other team, because Zubac can have big games. So think about it. When they play the Timberwolves in the play-in, if Zubac, instead of him having seven points and 9 rebounds in 32 minutes, if he has, let's say 16 and 15, 16 points and 15 rebounds, maybe the Clippers win that game, because maybe he puts not only Karl Anthony Towns in foul trouble, maybe he puts another big man or somebody else in foul trouble, which would have allowed the Clippers to propel forward and not get that extra scoring from other players, and would have kept them going. Because eventually, there'll be times where you switch off, where, I've seen in that game specifically where Anthony Edwards, tried to guard Zubac 1 or 2 times on the block, and, he couldn't, because it's just not really his game. You see what I'm saying? So this is my point. When you feed the big man, sometimes the big man can alter the game in so many ways, because he puts the other team's big men in foul trouble where they have to sit down or they get too many fouls, and now they're put on their heels, and it allows you to propel forward and keep scoring and probably take that game and win it. Because they did have Paul George that game too. So this is what I'm saying. You can't have a big man out there giving you 7 and 9. Now I put some of that on Zubac, because he should be a little bit more effective. But at the same time, I put some of that on the team and coach Ty Lue, because they're not giving him an opportunity to be more effective. But even though I will say this, the 7 points, that's not good, but he definitely needs double-digit rebounds every single game. He can't have 9 rebounds, 8 rebounds. It's just not good enough. It's not good enough. And it's not good enough for the $6 million a year I think he's getting, or probably more by now. But still, he needs to be in the double figures of rebounding if he's not going to be in the double figures of scoring. He should be in double figures for both, but he should be in the double figures for rebounding if he's not going to be in the double figures for scoring. That's just my opinion. This is the reason why I'm giving him a C-. I expect him next season to upgrade this resume a lot. I'm going next season. I'm going out on a limb here, but I'm going out on a limb saying he's going to average 14 and 11 next season, which will be an improvement, because this year he averaged 10.3 points and 8.5 rebounds. So now 14 and 11 next season will be an improvement for him. And I need him to crash the boards a little bit more on the offensive glass too. Give the Clippers some extra possessions, along with Hartenstein, and put your stuff in better position to get, re-signed or, stay with this team. Because I think, if Zubac gets traded, he's probably going to get traded to a team like Indiana or something like that. Some team where you'll never see him ever again, where he'll never be a factor ever again. And, he won't even be on your TV screen ever again. So, for Zubac's sake, he's in a good position in LA where he can win a championship, but he's got to grind harder and he's got to command more of a presence in the paint. He can't have single-digit rebounds averaging for a season. It just can't happen. The Clippers won't go far if he's doing that. And that might be the reason why some of the games that they lost this year, you can't blame it all on Zubac. But if he was more of a big man where you can get a double out of him every single night on average, the Clippers might have won maybe 5 or 10 more games this season, which probably would have put them in the 6th seed, where they would be in the playoffs instead of actually had to go into the play-in tournament. And I'm not saying that's 100% for sure, but it's definitely a probable thought, because when your big man is giving you a double and every team that you play every night knows that he's going to give you a double on average, and he's not going to give you nothing less than that, that makes them readjust their offense, because they factor him in like, okay, on defense, he's somebody, or on when we play this team, he's somebody we need to try to neutralize some too, because he's averaging a double every game. He's not the biggest scorer in the league, but he's very effective on both ends of the court every single game. So this is the reason why I said I personally think, I'm hoping that he averages 14 and 11, or at least next year 14 and 11, because I think him averaging a double every game would make the Clippers an even better team than what they are on paper now. A lot of people might not be able to see that, but it's true. When your big man is consistent it allows everybody else to be consistent, because at times when the offense is stagnant and you throw the ball into Zubac and he can score on his own, and it may be just a few possessions out the game where you throw it into him in the paint, he score on his own, it puts the defense on their heels, because now they're thinking, well, what if they keep throwing the ball into him? What are we going to do about that? We need to make an adjustment. So if they make an adjustment because Zubac is being effective, it allows the shooters on the Clippers to get more high percentage shots, because the defense of the other team is thinking we need to neutralize what Zubac is doing too, along with everybody else. But you can't stop everybody. Sometimes it's just, teams are making shots, and if they have a big man like Zubac who can really do some things in the paint and anchor down the paint on defense as well, it makes them even harder to beat, and it makes them more of a challenge to any team who plays them in a 7-game series, because their big man is a part of the equation when you factor in playing them in a 7-game series, how you need to get him in foul trouble or how you need to get him out the game to better your chances of winning. This is the impact that Zubac can have on this team, on the Clippers and other teams that they play, if they allow Zubac to actually, flourish a little bit more. And I'm not sure if they can do that, but if they're able to, good. But regardless, he definitely needs to average a double-double every single game going into next season and going forward in his career, really, because that's the only way he's going to stay in the NBA and continue to have a job in the NBA, because you got to produce, and that's what it's all about. Every single season, you got to upgrade your resume. And, from when he started out 8 points, 6 rebounds a game. Now he's up to 10 points and 8 rebounds a game. But at this point in his career, he's been in the league 5, 6, 7 years, something like that. You gotta, you gotta get double figures on each. You gotta have double figure points, double figure rebounds to be a more of a presence type big man in this league, because he's got the talent, but what is the talent if you don't ever take it to the next level and utilize it? So that's my point. But like I said, we'll go 14-11 next year. Hopefully he can average that. I think that'll make the Clippers even more dangerous, and we'll see how it pans out for him. Hopefully he has a better letter grade at the end of next season, and we'll see how it goes. But hey, that's my take on everything. Leave any comments in the comment section as always. And hey, Khaliis out.